Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry at the Movies. Today I'm reviewing Machete, a Robert Rodriguez film that came out in late 2010. Now, Robert Rodriguez has never shied away from ultra-violent gore in his pulpy tales of yore, yet Machete, though filled to the brim with cartoonishly improbable violence, is not nearly as ultra-violent as some of his other films. In fact, dare I say, this is Rodriguez at his most restrained for this type of neo-exploitation pulp fiction. It is a welcome respite from his usual guns ablazing in a two-fisted, hyperbolic manner. And Machete is also one of his most enjoyable films as a result. And yes, I have seen From Dusk Till Dawn and Desperado and several of his other films. Now, Danny-Trejo is Machete, a face with more wrinkles, crevices, and personality than even stone-faced Lee Van Cleef. And frankly, I think Lee Van Cleef, God bless his soul, would be scared of this guy. Le Machete is an ex-federale agent, an illegal immigrant living on the border of South Texas, helping himself to tacos and coffee. Now, he seeks revenge for the murders of his wife and child by a vicious drug lord, Torres, played by Steven-Seagal, who is absolutely the perfect villain, and I'll discuss later why. Years of unemployment leads Machete to a shady aide named Michael Booth, played by Jeff Fahey, and to an even shadier Senator McLaughlin, played by Robert-De-Niro, of all people. Now, his poll numbers, the senator, is declining. Booth wants Machete to assassinate McLaughlin to boost the poll numbers. There is a double cross, not to mention colorful characters like She, played by Michelle Rodriguez, a taco food truck owner, doubling as a revolutionary, a fastidious La Migra agent played by Jessica-Alba, Lindsay-Lohan as Booth's drunk daughter, please don't laugh, Cheech-Marin as a priest, Machete's brother with a vow for nonviolence, except in a Machete situation, a hilarious Tom Savini as a hitman, and Don Johnson, yes, Don Johnson, as a ruthless border patrol cop. You know what to expect in this kind of movie. There are severed heads and arms blown up or torn apart, intestines used as swinging vines, that's a new one, and various sharp instruments used in less utilitarian ways. Sometimes Rodriguez shows some cruel violence, as in the execution of a pregnant woman crossing the border. However, nothing in this movie approaches a level of nonsensical ultra-violence as exhibited by his own Desperado, which was a sequel-cum-remake of his own El Mariachi, which is a far better film. The subject of that movie, Desperado, was seeing how many different angles Antonio Banderas could shoot two guns, slow motion or otherwise. Now, I hated Desperado and had hoped that Rodriguez was not going for empty exploitation with this film, as he did, I believe, with Desperado, and I was right. In fact, Machete has a good sense of humor about itself and allows room for political satire. De Niro's McLaughlin looks a lot like the current presidential Republican candidate Rick Perry, who, ironically, is also the governor of Texas. The political ads for the senator are fun to watch, though they may hit home more than you think. The film has a partisan satire angle, essentially a pro-illegal immigration stance, but it does make its points, regardless, buried in the mess of blood-spraying carnage. I suppose the message is, if you allow illegal immigrants to come into the country without an electrified fence at the border, you might have a Mexican hero who can save us from crass, greedy politicians who want to ruin the country by hiring illegals and turning in a profit. Oh, wait a minute. Wait now, Machete is saving South Texas from politicians who exploit illegal immigrants, despite the fact that illegals come into this country to work. Hell, you know, all you gotta do is call the EEOC. As for the remarkable cast, call me crazy, but I love Steven-Seagal. I'd seen his earlier films, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, for Justice, and, a real charmer, the movie, oh goodness, the name escapes me now, the one that he wrote and directed, that had a pro-environmental message. And I'm sure some of you will write to me and tell me what was the name of it, because I forgot, and just as well, because it was a terrible movie. All that violence and a pro-environmental message at the very end, delivered by Seagal, by the way. Anyhow, Half of his movies may have been garbage, but he has a commanding presence, he always has, I think, and a slightly soft, threatening voice that drips with malice. He is the perfect villain as Torres, and I am surprised it took this long for anyone to cast him as the bad guy. De Niro and Don Johnson obviously relish their villainous roles, and Lindsay-Lohan, surprise, sparkles the screen when she appears, especially in a nun's outfit. Now, I have no problem with Lohan in general. I think she's actually a pretty good actress, but, well, tell that to the naysayers who just want to concentrate on her drug problem, alcohol problem, whatever you want to call it. Machete and Rodriguez's own films owe a debt to the grindhouse factory of the 60s and 70s for their bleached images and scratchy surfaces. Now, Rodriguez and Tarantino's own failed movie, Grindhouse, which came out back in 2007, is among the best of its kind and features a faux trailer for this film. Truthfully, many of the Grindhouse exploitation films were not very good. Of course, there are a lot of good ones out there that came out at that time, but just as many that are poor. However, Rodriguez and Tarantino, who helmed the Death Proof film for Grindhouse, may actually have made better movies than their original sources of inspiration. So Machete simply has Danny-Trejo, and his face is enough to draw fear in the minds of all politicians. He'll let him know how he feels only when he's armed because, hey, Machete don't text. So I say definitely check out Machete, one of Rodriguez's best films in a while. And also, if you want to see early stuff by Rodriguez, I would highly recommend El Mariachi, which is a brilliant film that he did back in 1992. Not to mention From Dusk Till Dawn, which he directed based on an early Tarantino script, which I enjoyed also, although, you know, I'm not going to say there's much more to that movie than violence, wit, a cool attitude, and some tits, but hey, that's the kind of movie it was. And what else by Rodriguez? Well, I guess I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I can't comment on that, but I did enjoy Grindhouse. That's definitely worth seeing, and from what I understand, I think Blu-ray has the entire movie as one movie, whereas DVD it's separated into two films. Grindhouse is essentially two films, one by Rodriguez and the latter by Tarantino, mixed in together as one film, but, you know, for DVD they separated the two, which kind of kills the experience a little bit in my opinion. Anyway, Machete by Robert Rodriguez, with a hell of a cast. I mean, Robert-De-Niro to Don Johnson to Danny-Trejo to Lindsay-Lohan to Steven-Seagal. That is quite a cast, I would say. And that's all I have for you this week, and I'm sure some of you will remind me, which still escapes me, Steven Seagal's directorial debut, his only film that he wrote and directed. It also starred Michael Caine. I actually did remember the film before I was going to do this review, and then I forgot it. So, oh well, let it be. So this is Jerry the Movies, signing off.